Well, it's the month of Valentine's again, and before you think I'm gonna come down on the holiday, just because I'm single, you ought to realize it's never polite to assume. What I actually want is for people to stop bashing the holiday. What did St. Valentine ever do to you, innocent viewer? Not to put too fine a point on it, but the popular television show Big Bang Theory certainly made a point that given St. Valentine was executed, the most appropriate way to celebrate would be to witness a brutal murder. But I won't turn that stone over any further. When I was but a wee lad, it was mandatory to bring Valentine to every single person in class, because the teachers didn't want anyone to feel left out and have their feelings hurt. And you know what? I actually agree with that crazy logic, because no kid likes feeling left out. And let's face it, the more Valentines you got, the more delicious candies you were bound to consume as well. It's like Halloween without having to walk. The only part of Valentine's Day that I never looked forward to was figuring out how to dispose of all the paper cards the following week in a dignified way so as to respect the restless spirits of the people who put in so much time and effort into writing my name on a card they bought at Walmart. I also remember that when I was young, that like everyone else, I dreamed of spending Valentine's Day with a special someone, because it's engraved in our brains thanks to Hallmark that if you're not with someone on this annual occasion, you're probably making the wrong life choices. When I was 16 and finally got a girlfriend, I thought it was going to be the best time of my life. But you know what it ended up being? A lot of money. And it's not that the date went badly either. It's just that unlike my usual dates, it was the exact same except busier. Because every silly fool without a brain, at that precise moment in their lives, are all doing dinner and a movie. Usually the most recent chick flick about a couple that find each other through the trials of breaking up with a previous significant other. On the whole, this holiday has never really rubbed me one way or the other. I've had girlfriends for it and I've been single for plenty of them, but the day still holds no real place in my heart. I never understood why single people made such a fuss about it. Okay, I know why they're complaining, but I still think it's insane. What's different about being single on February 14th than February 15th or any other fucking day? If I feel like rubbing your relationship status in your face, I can do it any day of the year. It's as though February 14th is the national day to go on a date, which just sounds like a lot of planning, and an obvious competition amongst friends to see who has the most romantic partner, where boys are generally accepted as the suitor and girls are the judges, telling her friends whether or not your dive was a 5 or a 9.2. I suppose I just get fatigued at the tediousness of having to plan a date. People continuously sigh at the thought of being single on Valentine's Day. But I think the real challenge is for the unfortunate bastard who gets stuck trying to plan some fancy and romantic evening that will suddenly become the standard for date night. Well, I don't think there's anything more I can say about that, so let me tell you something about myself. I was feeling the need to play a retro video game, so I went out to the retro game store and picked up Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. What I enjoy most about old video games is probably the music composition, and sometimes the story. I found that with Lufia the music is exceptional, and the story is a story. It's really your predictable 90s RPG. The bad guy has appeared. Kill him! How nice it is that back then we didn't have to think about what was going on. Nowadays, video games try and get you so caught up in their dialogue that you forget you're even playing a game in the first place. But I digress. Unlike games today, this one has its challenges, but not the dungeon navigation portion of it. You could blindfold a monkey and give him a piñata for the controller and he would still find his way through those dungeons. The challenge with Lufia lies in the most basic parts of the gameplay. Battles and equipment. The battle layout is one of the most atrocious and unplanned systems I've ever come across. It's turn-based combat, which I've never really had an issue with, because everything seems to be based on speed. But speed doesn't seem to do me a fat load of good, seeing as every monster I encounter is faster than me. Not to mention that every monster becomes so exponentially strong that I have to heal myself after every battle before I can move forward, and random battles don't make this any easier. To make this worse, it doesn't seem to matter what kind of armor I manage to buy. With the pitiful amount of gold that monsters manage to shit out of their corpses, they can still kick your ass in one round. It's impossible to keep up with the difficulty level of the monsters, unless you hide away next to a town or a healing spot and battle for hours on end to slowly raise up your levels. But I've never been the kind of person who enjoys wasting time in a video game. I want to enjoy the story, otherwise the game loses its merit. To go even more in depth, yes, I'm not done complaining yet. What makes this game ludicrous is the items available to you in shops, specifically potions. I've managed to find high potions and high magics, but I have to play extremely conservatively, because the towns will only sell me potions, which will only heal between 15 and 20 health, depending how it's feeling that day and whether or not it's on its period. Despite all this, I'm stubborn, and unless I find a point where nothing makes sense, the plot is lost on me, or the enemies can kill my characters in one fell swoop, I'll continue to play until the end. The only thing I can't seem to wrap my head around are the other files that were left on this game. I bought it used, so naturally I'm able to see the progress of the previous owner. Somehow this no-life bastard has managed to reach levels in which you can beat the game with, in the same 5 hours that I've been trying to play it. This has obviously left me puzzled and in awe at how quickly a person can go off the deep end with a video game. It's as though the game has taken the rulebook and all common sense and said, fuck it, I'll do what I want. Now every time I turn on the system, I can't help but feel bitter. Not that Lufia will ever care about my feelings. That's all this time. I'm Garrett Thompson, and I'll see you next month.